Now in my business, you catching fever, getting serious like empty river. Ain't no stopping by the river. And as we coming, we sweeping, we cutting, we moving all the way. Yeah. We coming, yeah. We better be coming. As we coming, we sweeping, we coming. And then when we meet obstacles, we better be coming. Nah, you come man, yeah. We coming. We better be coming. When the year is me checking you again, cause you we coming. We better be coming. We coming. We better.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, let me say welcome. Paul, I will come to you, but I want you to do me a favor. Can you roll that Takunche music, please?
Okay, we'll do.
My people, where you at? Wake up from your slumber, stop sleeping. Whip your hands. Come on. I know you're sleeping now. You gotta wake up some more, yeah? Okay, let's go. The people who us. The people lie to us. The government betray us. They betray us so much. I said they lie. The people who us, the people lie to us. The government betray us. They can lie, they can steal, they will knock the ball. I said we tired with their lies. We tired with their promises that led us to all our damages. We tired with their speech they preach in DNA unique, they deceive us. The thing we saw, it frustrate us. So why did you lie? Why did you steal? Why did you allow the citizens to be? You see, we just tell you. That's why we voted you. But you fool us, you screw us, you use us and later on abuse us. So why? The government should lie. Why? But that's the question that we ask. They lie. The people fool us. The people lie to us. The government betray us. They betray us so much. I said they lie. The people fool us, the people lie to us. The government betray us. They can lie, they can steal, they go knock the borough. I said no one to trust. My people, no one to hope on. Nobody. My hope that I have been broken. I'm telling you, brother. So where are the schools? Where are the roads? Where are the jobs that they said they could afford? But they're too selfish. The people tired with their rhetoric. People tired, they tired. You see the reason why we ask why the government betray. They have enough of time, but yeah, then stay they delay. People suffer. No work for people crying for hunger. Look at. Your vision and your mission, your intention to the nation, they poor. You got nothing to show. Nothing. So why? The government should lie. Why? But that's the question that we ask. They lie. The people fool us. The people lie to us. The government betray us. They betray us so much. I said they lie. The people fool us. The people lie to us. The government betray us. They can lie, they can steal, they go knock the borough. We tired with their promises that led us to all our damages. We tired with that speech they preach in DNA unique, they deceive us. The thing we saw, it frustrate us. So why did you lie? Why did you steal? Why did you allow the citizens to be? You see, we just tell you. That's why we voted you. Thank God. But you fool us. You screw us, you use us and later on abuse us. So why? The government should lie. Why? But that's the question that we ask. The people fool us. The people lie to us. The government betray us. They betray us so much. I said they lie.
Yes, today is another interesting day, and today is the 25th of October 2022. Somebody mute your device. We're getting feedback. Okay, and so let me say welcome to you guys. Orita Menon is there in Sweden, the Royal Kingdom of Sweden, and Paul the Lord Chilpley is in the United Kingdom, and I am in the Royal Kingdom of Norway. So it's like no poor country here. Everybody a kingdom, right? But guys, let me say welcome, and my name is Linford Goer. We're going to have interesting show tonight. This is a program, the Bottom Line. Just in case you're joining us for the first time, we'd like to say welcome to you wherever you are. Your first time joiner, be here all the time. Make this place your home. This is where we discuss the issue. We start from the top to the bottom. And tonight we are going to be dissecting the politics in Liberia. We're going to have a guest. And when our guest appears, we're going to tell you. For those of you who are actually seeing our flyers for the program today, you may just have some ideas on whom the guest is. But Paul, let's start with you. In the UK, you guys have a new prime minister. What's going on in like two years time or 3 years time, or maybe 4 years time? You've changed 3 prime ministers, or you've had 3 prime ministers. Then the queen died on top of it.
Well, I would say good evening, good afternoon, wherever our guests are. It's good to be back here and to say also welcome everybody on that tuning in to watch on Bottom Line. Welcome. We're going to have a very good show. What happened in the UK here, we don't mock about. If you're not good, we tell you to step aside. You see? And the thing is, people, they respect their rules and laws. Boris Johnson, who was then, all started from Brexit. You see, they lied to the people about Brexit. People bought into it and were out of EU. So that lies have caught up with them. So that's why they keep changing people. Now, the last woman that left, she was not good enough. That's all. And they asked her to step aside. So you cannot see that happening elsewhere in the world. Finally, we have our Asian prime minister. So we might have a black prime minister soon.
That's an interesting part of it.
Yeah, it's like history is being made. I read, I don't know, it was in the Independent, the newspaper, where somebody, it was on Facebook, it's like, England colonized, India, and now England have a Indian prime minister. Very interesting.
So what happened when you go looking for treasure around the world? That treasure come to haunt you too. When they were going around the world to colonize people, they knew that at some point the people will come back to colonize them too.
But
so
I didn't want to say anything, but let me give you just 1 minute story. When I was studying in Southampton in the UK, I was on a bus going somewhere, and this lady, for some reason, I don't know who made her mad, she was blasting all the foreigners coming. I mean, loud, all the foreigners coming in this country, and blah 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 blah. She was talking. So there was this Indian British. And this lady brushed out to say, what did you say? He said, we come here. How many countries the India colonized? How many countries the any country in Africa colonized? You were chasing us, you went to us, and you think we'll let you come back and we will follow you, and we are here. So what you took from our country, the human resource that you took from our country, anything you draw, we'll follow it. So that's why we are here. You had no reason going. We didn't know this place. You went for us and you brought us, and we are here to stay. So now the whole thing has become, has come to reality. But in a nutshell, I think there is transformation all around the world. I mean, to the point that a royal family from the UK can marry a non-royal person. So can you imagine? So
the thing is bound to happen. You see, they went around colonizing people from Singapore, from here, from there, everywhere in the world. So it caught up with them. So we're at a point now that at some point, don't be surprised that we'll have a Nigerian prime minister or Ghanaian prime minister or Liberian prime minister because we're born
you just had a Ghanaian chancellor.
Yeah.
But gentlemen, the thing is, I don't know if it was fake news, but I read somewhere, what's her name? Prince Harry's wife. Her ancestry go all the way back. She's 43% Nigerian. So you guys actually have a West African in your royal palace or within that Istanbul.
Well, I think that's a good one. And Orita, how's the weather? I think we're going to be kicking off soon. We see our guests is in the background, and I mean, the show is going to be interesting tonight. So how's the weather in Sweden, Orita?
Oh, the weather is good. It's good at the time of the year. The same weather. We are just starting to get used to it because the thing here in Sweden, everybody know the time of this year. We have the same weather, but people go and say, "Oh, the weather it's a surprise."
Yeah, no. So, the reason is they've gone through the summer and then
the weather is nice. It's been nice a couple of days. These couple of days, yeah, the weather been nice.
Okay.
Right. So, before we bring our guests on, please recognize some of the audience that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Paul, you want to do that quickly?
Okay. We'll say welcome everybody. Mr. Dada, Siata Thompson. Oh, Eddie, we have here. Wanty Clark, welcome. Nicholson, welcome. Who else? Brother Tolman from Germany, welcome. It's good to have all of you on board. Yeah, we're going to have a very fascinating.
And I can see one Vashti Yancey.
Vashti Yancey, welcome. It's good. So we have people. Yeah, so you can float, brother.
Okay. And so, ladies and gentlemen, let me officially say welcome to all of you. Today is the 25th of October. I guess this is going to be the last Tuesday in October. And this is the Bottom Line. The Bottom Line is the program that discusses issues about Liberia. It can be politics, it can be human interest story, whatever. And we have our guest tonight. And this guest is very interesting person for the fact that he has a very strong profile when it comes to Liberia. And let me bring on our guest, Mr. Edit or Ambassador Louis G. Brown. Who else to work with? Honorable Brown, do you hear us?
Yes, I do. Thank you for having me. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you well.
Yeah.
Okay, so let us say welcome to Bottom Line. Here we have three panelists. Mr. Paul Chilipley, the Lord Paul Chilipley from the UK, Madam Orita Menon from Sweden, and my name is Linford Goer from Norway. And I know, just before we go further, I know Mr. Brown will rather remember this name on the face.
Yeah, exactly, Linford. I remember the name. And yes, we're all getting older now. So, but I remember the face as well. And let me greet your co-host and thank you all for having me. It looks like you are spread all across Europe.
Oh yes,
yes, indeed.
I think you heard us talking. I mean, telling some jokes about how the people colonized us in Africa. So we are coming back. So I mean, I was surprised. Every European country you go to, you see black men, and you see, to the point where I was in Ukraine, and I wanted to tea. So I was looking for a place, and I entered a restaurant. Guess what? So the guy standing right to the door. Probably you're giving some ticket. I saw that black man. At least I was happy. I said, brother, where's the bathroom? He said, go there. So when I came, he said, where are you from? I said, from Liberia. He said, I'm from Senegal. I said, okay. So you see, black men everywhere now. But tonight we do not have particular topic, Ambassador Brown. We're going to dissect the politics in Liberia. We're going to touch just how many things can come to our mind, and we're going to discuss as much as we can. But before we go ahead, let me give one grand rule. Our viewers, if you're here for the first time, we have a grand rule here. We respect our viewers. We, the panelists, respect ourselves. And above all, we respect our guests. So we ask that you respect our guests. If you have to be here, you have to fall in line with our rules, or else you get blocked. Here we don't tolerate anything outside of respect. So we're happy that you're here, and we are happy that we are here, and that our guest is here. Ambassador Louis G. Brown, I know you well. I know you well. And so for the sake of our audience, and probably my other panelists, who is Louis G. Brown?
Well, Louis Brown is a father, an aging one at that. My kids are telling me, Daddy, why you don't dye your hair now? And I said, there was a time when it was black. Now it is the time for it to be where I lead a black one with you. At least it separates me from you. So yeah, a father, a family man. I like to think that I love the country like all of us. And, this is the only place we have to call home. We have our own experiences, some good, some bad. We have our own prejudices about people. Some we like, some we don't like, but that's normal. The most important thing is that we all find a way, I believe, we own this space together. It so happens you all are out of the country. I'm sure for some of you it's not because you want to be detached from home, but some of you necessarily have to be away from home. Sometimes jobs, some people left because of the war and have had to make do with opportunities and build new lives. But one thing none of us can take from any of us is that we own this small space God gave us together. It is a good little space. We have a duty to take care of it. And if we take care of it well, it can be compared to any space anywhere in the world, because we can build our own skyscrapers. God has blessed us with so much. The challenge has been whether or not our leaders have manifested sufficient leadership to help recreate this space so that it can be to the betterment of all Liberians.
Good. At least the viewers and every one of us have an idea who the guest is tonight. Paul, you is there anything you want to, as a welcome statement, or anything you want to send to our guests?
Yes, well, Ambassador Brown, welcome to Bottom Line. It's good to meet you for the first time. But funnily, you're close friends, and also they are my close friends. And one of them happened to be my in-law. Dr. Herman Brown is my brother-in-law. And then Adolphus Marshall is my best friend in the UK here, and that's your buddy. So this we haven't met before, but then we have something in common. So welcome to Bottom Line. This is where we discuss serious issue. It's good to have you.
Thank you, Paul. Adolphus, Herman, and I we graduated from St. Patrick's. Right. We go. I think Herman joined us in the 10th grade, but Adolphus and I think we started from. I think Adolphus started from 7. I joined 8th grade. And we were classmates, sat in the same room until we graduated from high school. And now, everybody going. The last time I was there visiting, Adolphus treated me very nicely in beautiful London.
Yeah, okay. So it's good to have you here. Uri?
Yeah, welcome, Mr. Brown. And
Thank
for
you.
me, like my team members here, they know a lot about you. But for me, I just started reading the chapter of Louis Brown, and so far,
oh my goodness,
yeah, so far that, and they say it's like you have to read a man's book to understand him, to know him, and to talk for him or about him. So
yeah,
that's where I'm at.
Well, Orita,
internet do not do this.
Internet is frozen.
This is Liberia, and this is what we're talking about. But I know he will reconnect. But for those of you in the audience, you can also ask questions. If you have questions during the course of the program, we'll be putting the telephone number or later on. But continue, Ambassador Brown.
No, I'm sorry. Every now and then the internet sort of trips here. But we're getting there small. We get to the place where, like your internet, our own will not go off soon. So please bear with us, small. But no, Orita, I was saying that life is a tale of ups and downs, good and bad. They say don't tell a book by the cover. So as you start reading my book, I don't know which chapter you're on, because my life has a long story and many chapters. By the way, I'm writing my life's work, and I hope someday to publish it. I think it would make an interesting read, because we have gone through a lot. I've seen a lot. Some people think I'm way older than I actually am, but I like that, because then you have your own credible and calling you Ume, which is very good.
It's a song of wisdom, so embrace it.
Which is very good.
Yes, and I think maybe our viewers are saying, "Oh, your bro, Ambassador Brian, to just be playing fun and be laughing." But
no, I'm sure you're keeping it. You're keeping the gloves, and I'm expecting the punches very soon. Lingfo, I know you for many years.
I'm not talking for myself, but let's get a ball rolling.
Coming.
Yeah, let's get a ball rolling. I told you from the audience from the start that I know Ambassador Brown well before he became ambassador. I know young Louis Brown during the days of the MPF were all across the line. So that I will not shy away from. I'll probably say that I was there. Now, how did Ambassador Brown get close to politics? We'll come there, but how did you? This is the most cantankerous part of the discussions in Liberia right now or nowadays. That Louis Brown participated in the war. He was with Charles Taylor. How did Louis Brown get closer to Charles Taylor? What happened?
It's an interesting story, but there are still people living. I'm happy who can testify to this. Sometimes people think that You know, by the time they start hearing your name, then they think that's when your life actually began. So I was a student leader at the University of Liberia. I'm one of those who was a very good member of the student integration movement. I ran on same ticket to be student representative. My friend and brother Aaron Colley that year beat me. He was soup, and we were. You know me. I like new things. I like to challenge. I don't just like to follow. So we formed SIM, Student Integration Movement, and Aaron and them and many of my friends. Some of them we lost during the war, like Wo Gabi Tapia, Momolu Lavala. Those boys were arrested and killed during the war, and it could have been any of us because all of us went to jail together under President Doe. So during the war, I managed to escape until I got to Buchanan with the help of some friends, with the help of a good woman. May God continue to bless her. So with some friends, we got to Buchanan. Some left me there. I had basically just graduated from college. I did accounting and economics minor. So I was there hustling, looking for a job. I got a job at the Port of Buchanan doing accounting. And then started getting to associate with the community ambassador. But this was my first time actually living in Buchanan. Then we woke up one morning to news of the deaths of 4 young men in Buchanan. They were arrested, summarily executed on accusation of being spies for the enemy. At that time, there was a story about Ulimo and everything else advancing on Buchanan. So the community, the citizen, there was a group called Concerned Citizen Movement. That group got together and decided they would protest the death of these 4 young men. I joined that effort. In fact, it was being led by a guy who's in the States now. He's not doing very well health-wise. Verdia. Oh, I forgot. Oh, his first name will come to me. But Verdia went to BWI, and he was there. He had formed with some support from all of us. At the time, I was working, so I could afford to chip in Concerned Citizen Movement of Basel. And Concerned Citizen and others joined in, decided we would protest the death of these people against the NPFL. So the town became, let's just say it became ungovernable for the NPFL until Mr. Taylor came to Buchanan to put the popular resistance down. And then I was chosen by my colleagues to read the official position of the people of Basel to Mr. Taylor. This was actually the first time in my life that I had physically seen Mr. Taylor. Never before the war. I had heard his name. Then during the war, all of us used to listen to BBC and hear his interviews and all that story. But this was my first time physically seeing Mr. Taylor. And I was speaking on behalf of the people of Basel. When you're young, you tend to be fearless. The environment was a charged one. It was at the fairground, the stadium, the Doris Williams Stadium in Buchanan. We wanted to initially do at the fairground. You were there, Lingford. Let me say my witness fire. So this was where, for the first time in my life, I met Mr. Taylor. I read the position statement of the people of Grand Bassa. It was presented to him by, he used to be a dear friend of mine, Maurice Basigia. And then, in fact, Mr. Taylor at the time came with some other young men from Bassa who had earlier been arrested. And we negotiated and he turned them over. And that sort of ended the uprising. It was a big thing there with military people. I've had no military training. I've never carried a weapon. I mean, recently one guy sat on a television with me and looked in my eye and said he saw me with I mean, people can lie in their country. So maybe that's what they call us Liberia. So in any case, that episode apparently impressed Mr. Taylor. So that after one of the peace conferences, link for if you can remember, there were several peace conferences on Liberia. One of them ended up with a decision for, by the time they had MPRAG in Banga, and there was IGNU in Monrovia. So at one of those peace, I don't remember specifically which one, whether Cotonou or Yamoussoukro, but at one of those peace conferences, they decided to distribute an interim government to replace both IGNU and MPRAG. They gave 13 seats, legislative seats, they created a council of, what do you call it? Anyway, there was this council to lead the executive, and there was this legislative branch called LNT, Liberia National Transitional Government. Yeah. And then there was the Liberia National Transitional Assembly. So I was then again displaced with a dear brother of mine, may his soul rest in eternal peace, ACTF Fagati. He was in Buchanan. I mean, he was in Banga. We had gone to Buchanan together, but then he moved on to Banga. I found a job in Buchanan and I stayed there. So he was in Banga. I was displaced with him. Buchanan had fallen, so I have moved to Banga. And that morning, one of our favorite pastimes was to play Scrabble. So we were sitting playing Scrabble, in Banga. Early in the morning, we either have that country red or GB. So we had our GB that morning. We're playing Scrabble. When we got the call, there was this car came in the yard and said we were needed at the time. We used to call it the white flower. The president on the ground. So, and because of the rush, I barely just brushed my teeth. I really didn't take bad, to be honest. I threw on a pair of jeans and we went there, met all these people. And the late Councillor Francis Galawolo, at the time, he was head of the National Concerned Citizen Movement, for which, so Galawolo came out of.
Wow, this is Liberia, and this is what we're talking about, a better Liberia. In this age,
Linford,
that should not be a problem.
Linford,
Yeah, but yeah.
While we're waiting, let us, our viewers, to kind of share the show in the viewer group, because we're trying to get a lot from Louis Brown today. So if they can kind of share the show, and while we're waiting on him, can we look at some of the viewer comments while we await him?
Yeah. I think, okay, he's back.
I'm really sorry. It seems like a long story, but I wanted to give. This is the first time I'm being asked this question, because people just make assumptions. You know, they just see we were soldiers and everybody behind the line was a soldier and were trained and carried weapon and shot up people and ate flesh. That is not the case. So, Councillor, as I was saying, I don't know if you all remember that, where I was. Councillor Galawolo came out of the room, spoke. We had known Councillor Galawolo from our student days because these are one of Councillor Galawolo and Councillor Supu who were the human rights lawyer who all run to in that time. Whenever they wanted you or you wanted to arrest you, Councillor Galawolo and Councillor Supu. So we knew each other before the war, actually. So he came outside and said, "Oh, Louis, you will be representing Bassa in the Transitional Assembly." I said, "Me?" He said, "Why?" He said, "Oh, President Taylor asked about you." I said, "How?" He said, "You know that the NPRA government has been given 13 legislative seats. IGNU had been given, I think, 13, and Ulimo 9, but Ulimo will name the speaker. That was the arrangement that came out of that peace deal." Then he told my friend Fagadi, he said, "Oh, you have also been named to represent Grand Crew, Augustine Yinswa." He said, "You have been named to represent Sino, Mohammed Dukle. You have been named to represent Bombing."
Yeah.
Yes, Bombing. So I think Kepma or Masale or something, Eben Masale or something. Anyway, so Omer Augustine Zeze, MPRAG will name the deputy speaker. So the Omer Augustine Zeze from Lofa will be deputy speaker. So we were giving jobs behind our backs while we're at home playing Scrabble. And I'm told, I was not in the room, I'm told when it came to the legislative seat, Mr. Taylor said, "I want that boy who was brave enough in Buchanan to stay in front of me." Yes, to stay in front of me and say he represents me. That's a brave young man. That's the kind of man I want to represent the NPRAG. I had gotten no training. I had not asked for it. And that is how I was named to the NTLA. And from that day, Lingford, my life changed. I started getting deeper. From student leader, I came to NTLA. I was displayed behind the line. I came back from behind the line. So my men started calling me NPFF man, rebel, arrived, rebel back in town. But you have to take all of that because they had their own experiences on this side, just like we had our own experiences on that side with jet bombers and all kinds of things. So, and that became my movement. So after a couple of months, in fact, in NTLA, Maurice Dukle was speaker. I eventually became chairman of Ways, Means, and Finance. No, Ways, Means, Finance, and Maritime. Then I became. Then I moved on. One day we're sitting in the legislature. I get a call to go to White Flowers, which was right there at the German embassy. If all of you can remember where President Taylor used to live. President Taylor was now on the Council of State. Yes, they call them, you remember they call them Council of State, the heads of the various factions. So I go to President Taylor's house and he said, "Look, we're moving Cyril Allen from FPRC and we're sending you to FPRC. I said, "What happened?" He said, "No, not much, but we decided the council is now sending you to FPRC." So basically in my life, Lingford, I have never, given all the jobs I've had the opportunity and the privilege to work in, I have never, ever asked for an appointment in my life.
Okay, let me just stop you right there.
They've all just come to me.
Yeah, like I said, I know you, and I know you up to 1999 before I left Liberia. What transpired after 1999, that I don't know. And after 1999, there was a series of war that was fought. And Mr. Taylor was still in the country until 2003, was it, that he left? Now,
Yes, 2000.
Yeah, this is the final follow-up to that question, and then my colleagues will come in. I knew Louis Brown. All of the story you explain is like you just opening the pages of something that I've been reading before, because you know
All
what
right.
we did together. We sat together at your new house when you were building it. We play card
Thank
there.
you.
One of the days
Thank
we
you.
play card, we did everything. So I know
Thank you.
Louis Brown up to 1999. But then came these series of allegations that Louis Brown was involved in the war. He was with Taylor. In Monrovia and whatever. So let's start from that point. 1999 when I left, I think you were still at LPRC also.
Correct.
Then forward to what they call the World War I or the Ulimo War and the Lord War. What did you do? Did you leave LPRC to what did you do next?
So then I started as a young man to build a house on the ELWA highway. And the way I started building the house was another interesting thing. So I used to rent on the beach. In fact, one guy took it over, but the building is taking over now. At that time, I got it from a friend, Bobby. I don't know how many of you who know Classic Jewelry. Bobby from Classic Jewelry. So his parents has a house on the beach. Actually, I got to know about that house through my other friend, Moni Captain. So when I took a 2-year lease on a house right on the beach, one of my dreams was always to live. I didn't know how expensive living on beach can be because everything get rusted very, very fast from the seawater. So I thought I was used to go live on beach. I had come from Ghana. I swear I was coming to go live on beach, but I think it was very expensive. So one day I come home from work and I meet this ECOMOG major. I meet my children outside and the ECOMOG major is walking through the house with his bodyguard and somebody showing him around, including in my bedroom. So I said, what is it? He said, oh no, we decided to sell the house and the man won't buy the house. I said, hey man, but I finished paying for 2 years. 1 year ain't even finished yet. He almost said, oh, I gotta come put my family outside and I can't meet my poor. That is the deal linked for between me, you, and God. That I say, you know what? I can build my own house. And it started like a small little. So we also, my wife went, bought the land here every year. I just want to tell you this quick story. So when you're building something for yourself, you put a small wall there, then somebody come with new ideas. Say, oh, you can turn the wall like this, then you can add the other piece. You put out wall, then you put the other piece there, then you extend it small more. That's how I managed to build that house. I felt motivated to try to do it. Then it became the talk of the town. It was as if I was the first person that was building a house. And of course, I was pretty young and inexperienced. So fast forward, I was removed from LPRC. And then I still remember the night. Mr. Taylor called me and said, oh, the people say you're building a house. And then one crazy bastard guy I had on the top of the house, he decided he put where rock star there. Where rock? He made a design like star. So the story was, I was suggesting I was going to be the next president, and that's why I was putting a star on top of my house for everybody to see who next. So that thing caused me a little bit of trouble. So I was removed from LPRC. And then I went to the president. I said, Mr. President, frankly, I just have a first degree. I want to go back. My dream is I really wanted to be called a Dr. Brown. But I didn't want the honorary causa doctorate beneath. I wanted to earn my doctorate in a real brick and mortar school. So I said, I want to go do he said, no. He'll let you very go move from LPR. I said, no, come to the mansion. Then I became advisor on political and domestic affairs. Then my eyes started opening around how the presidency works. Fast forward, throughout all these crises, there there was always, in fact, in February, March, or April, one of those months, 1998, right after the election, the first attack happened in Lofa. If many of you can recall, people were, NGOs were arrested in that attack by the insurgents, taken to Guinea and released in Guinea to the international community. So there was very little doubt about where that attack came from. When you arrest people at the front line, you naturally would take them to your rear, to what they call safety zone in the back. So anyway, that started to play out. So from 1998, the government was under attack. And that election happened in 1997. But 1998, the first attack occurred out of. So for the rest of that period, that government was struggling with war. Attack after an attack after an attack. So at some point, the biggest challenge of the government was security. How do we secure Liberia? It occurred to the government that our biggest problem was credibility with the international community. So Mr. Muniraf Captain and I were tasked with the duty to become the face of the government and persuade the international community that these wars needed to stop. And that is how I became Minister of State for Foreign Affairs. And for most of the period, I was outside the country along with the foreign minister. We were moving from capital to capital, from UN, from Washington to the United Nations, persuading about peace. And then there was all this talk about we sanction the government as the basis for the war. Internal to the government, I took a position that we needed to negotiate peace. So every time I came home, every opportunity, whether a cabinet, whether in my advice to the president, it was about our need to negotiate peace, because we couldn't win a war by winning everybody who were fighting in the war. The war had gotten so complicated. There were too many international interests. We needed to negotiate peace. So when it became time to do that negotiation, it even surprised me, who was the youngest in the government at the time, the youngest in the room, when President Taylor decided I will lead the government negotiation for peace. Throughout that process, no living human being or dead person can ever tell you at any point in my life, they saw me with weapon, they saw me out of front line, they saw me hurting anybody or taking a position to instigate hurt against anybody. I was always for ending the war in our country with peace. And therefore, I was asked, in spite of being the youngest, to lead the peace effort in 2003. And we successfully negotiated the end to Liberia's conflict, along with other Liberians who were fighting on all sides. And I'm very, very happy that that peace deal, even though when we signed it, there were doubts about it, whether it will hold, whether it will not. You know how these things work. You sign a peace deal, then it ends up breaking and people. But that peace deal fortunately held. I stayed in Liberia very briefly in that transitional period. I was working behind the scenes with the United Nations, making sure that elements of the peace deal were understood by all the parties as we agreed to them and implemented fully. When President Sirleaf won the election, that's when I got a scholarship to go to Johns Hopkins University and meet my dream to do postgraduate studies.
Thank you very much. Paul? Paul, you freezing too?
No, Paul, I think you muted.
Okay. It's an interesting life story of yours, and a lot of people have not known it, but I got to know your name on the most famous house, Louis Brown
Yeah.
house. That's the house from the day of that house. We got to know this name, so it's good that you clarify it. But anyway,
Thank
before
you.
let's bring Orita in. It's good to start with the ladies first, and then before I come in. Orita, the ambassador is all yours. Any question for him?
Yeah, sorry, gentlemen. I had to fix some things in the background.
Mm.
Yes, Mr. Brown. Like I said, for me, I just started reading the book, your book.
Okay.
So, and I feel that one have to ask questions, even if they are understood as tough or in whatever sense one may understand them.
Please go ahead.
Thank you. I will start with my first question. It's like, Mr. Brown, you serve our country in the past government as a minister and ambassador to the UN. Can you please tell us some of the poverty reduction scams or self-sufficiency programs that your government put in place back then? That would be the first.
So that's a good question, because sometimes when you criticizing this government, the usual response is, yeah, well, so then why are they too? So I just started off explaining that you see, every government has realities that it must deal with. In 1997, Orita, the thing you're talking about, poverty reduction strategy. What else you pointed to? Maybe even macroeconomic stability, self-sufficiency program.
Yeah.
Those could not be the reality and challenges of the government of the day that was coming immediately after conflict. So in 1997, even the slogan at that time of the election was, you came a man, you came a pa, I will vote. So it was under a psychosis of war. Immediately after that war in 1998, I think it was February or April, between February and April, the first attack happened on the government. The biggest challenge of that government, I said earlier, I think you had just gone off, was stabilizing the peace environment, giving people confidence that Liberia had ended its conflict. And you know, that conflict was really protracted. That conflict had all kinds of dimensions, multiple peace agreements. Senegalese had come, some Senegalese had died. Peacekeepers from Nigeria had died. I mean, there were just too many stakes in the fire. ECOMOG had intervened. So stabilizing Liberia out of war was the challenge. And even that became difficult because some Liberians felt excluded by the victory of Mr. Taylor. Some people simply could not trust. I mean, when you think about it, members of the Crown ethnic group that were loyal to President Doe, who had been removed, felt insecure by the victory. And you can argue whether that was right or wrong, but the truth of the matter is they did not feel secure enough. There was a situation in the region of Liberia, Guinea, Sierra Leone, and therefore, before long, war was back in Liberia. And throughout that reign, it never stopped. Now, I'm not justifying or trying to, but I'm saying the reality of that government was to deal with war. So at that time, you couldn't be talking about macroeconomic stability, self-sufficiency, agriculture. The priority was war and ending that war. Fast forward, then we went to a long peace deal. We had a 2-year transition arrangement, and you had Mrs. Selly. whole reality of Liberia was producing some things that will create a sense of peace and stability. So one of the first things she tackled was, so when she inherited a depleted national coffer, I think the total she got was, I don't know, few $1,000s in the national treasury, a huge debt burden. People needed now, after 2 years of transition, people needed a sense that this was real government. So she needed to put in place across the country a sense that there is now a new government. So the first time we heard about poverty reduction strategy came from President Sirleaf. And they had to develop that to be able to say to the rest of the world, please help us reduce our debt. We cannot. The coffers we inherited, we cannot pay the debt. So electric grids that were working, zero. Hydro capacity, zero. Schools, basically zero. People are not going to school for so many. So those were the kinds of services that needed restoration. So people can have confidence that, yes, we now truly have a government, not a transitional government. So then there was that poverty reduction strategy from which came the debt relief. I think it was about $4 billion debt relief, total debt relief on Liberia, for us to start to regain productivity in the economic sector and put a sense of government on the ground. So President Sirleaf went through that for 2 terms. There was, after those 2 terms, there was now international community acceptance, there was international community support. At the end of toward the end of her second term, in fact, in her second term, she named me Minister of Information. Then, after 4 years, she named me Ambassador to the United Nations. There, I can tell you for a fact, and the records are there, Liberia became a shining example of a post-conflict country making progress. In fact, I used to speak continuously at the UN. I was one of the most invited ambassadors to talk about how Liberia did it from a place of conflict to a place of relative peace, security, and stability. So much so that the economy that was zero when it was inherited grew up to double-digit figure. Now, after that, one of the credits you have to give to President Sirleaf is the fact that we had a smooth transfer of power. In many places, they call it peaceful transfer of power. This was happening in Liberia for the first time in, I think, I don't know how many years, since probably Topman. Nobody could remember. I think it was 30 or 40 something years. We were finally having one president transferring power to a newly elected president. And this was something that the world celebrated. This was a United Nations with the instruction of peace was to negotiate the unmail remains for that election, the 2017 elections, so that there can be a sense of security and stability. Fortunately, unmail remained. There was a good election. I mean, no election can really be perfect, but it was good enough. President George Weah was declared the winner. After some first round contest, there was a second round that happened in time. President Sirleaf turned over power. This was Liberia back among the Committee of Nations. Now, what is President Weah's reality? President Weah's reality is not President Taylor's reality of war. It's not President Sirleaf's reality of picking up a zero economy and lifting it up. It is now some of the things you are talking about. We have to now, to build the economy we want to build, invest in agriculture. Part of the problem is, if you look at how much this government has decided to invest in agriculture in the national budget, as opposed, for instance, to the president's security. They don't even compare. They don't even compare. So when you say in terms of self-sufficiency, what did a government you serve in do? By the way, I was not head of any government. So I know sometimes you say, oh, but you were minister. So the ministers don't do the president job. The ministers are given certain jobs that they have to do. For instance, Minister of Information. So my job was to propagate. And I know some of these things because I work with many of the other ministers who were, for instance, finance, economic planning, budget, central bank, and all that kind of stuff. So the bottom line is the reality of this government is now much different. They don't have to worry about attack from a neighboring country. They don't have to worry about people running with mattresses on their heads, and this place is not safe, and this other place. The only thing that making communities not safe are rising crimes. One of the things that infusing rising crime are drugs. We got to stop these kinds of things from our young people having this kind of access to this kind of stuff. So this government has a duty to create jobs, to do certain things that government before them did not have to the opportunity to do because of their own set of circumstances and reality. I hope I'm making some sense to you. I'm not trying to provide an excuse. I'm just trying to show you the dynamics that make these things different, government to government.
We come to the activities of this government. Orita, you still have a question? Because
I will try to touch shorter next time, Orita. But when you ask the kind of question, it's good to lay the premise so people understand the difference.
Yeah.
I know I can talk long. For many years, you're paying me to talk long.
I understand why, because in that process of talking long, you provide your listeners with empirical facts. And for me, I am satisfied with the answer because the thing is that, you see, like within ANC, I've met Mr. Cummings in Germany and in Liberia. The fact is that, and I told Mr. Cummings, I said, Mr. Cummings, the thing is that I'm following you because I know you can deliver. But when the time comes, you don't deliver, my voice will even be louder than what it is now.
Absolutely.
Because the thing is, and I will cut the whole thing short. I'm satisfied with your answer because a lot of people go and think, you say, ANC is like, we protect our own, but at the same time, when you do wrong, we say, we say, what's happening? So I feel like these are questions I wanted to ask. So people cannot just go with the notion of, ANC, they just gather people and then they protect them. No, it's not like that in the ANC.
Absolutely.
Thank you for your answer. I really appreciate it. You answer, the answer you give me is satisfactory.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
You got another question, or I can flow now?
No, I have another question.
Okay.
And it was little about what I was alluding into. It's like some people, I will read my question, Mr. Brown.
Please. It shows me you are prepared. It shows me you are prepared.
I find a way because back then I don't want to just be stuttering,
Yeah.
Some people are questioning you being on Team Cummings 2023. On the ground that you serve in the Mr. Taylor's government as one of his right-hand men. What can you tell these people?
So what I can tell all Liberians, the two things. Number one, I think this is a credit to Alex. I don't know if you all read his recent statement he released on justice. If you haven't linked for, I will send you a copy of it. It was published in many of the papers here. And so you can see where his perspective and how, for me, he is a change candidate. So when people tell you that, he was Mr. Taylor, right-hand man, and he served in the Taylor government, more likely than not, what they want to do is pass guilt by what we call by association. So, everybody, and we saw it during the war. Everybody behind the line was a rebel. Everybody in front of the line was a victim. So Nobody wanted to hear that people behind the line were also victims and catching and suffering as well. So we take those prejudices forward. So when you want to lead a country, in my mind and from my experience, what you don't want to do, and it has happened for too long in our country, we tend to divide. And we have no basis for dividing ourselves. But we divide along tribes, we divide along gender, we divide along religion. And now, lately, I'm hearing we should divide along who served when. So if you serve before 1980, no way for you. If you serve after 1997, maybe small way. If you serve after, no. If we keep doing this, we will be excluding rather than including. If you look at Team Cummings, I'm so proud of Alex. You have members of the disabled community. You have members of the ex-combatant community. You have members of all gender. You have all religions. Then almost, I'm not quite certain, but almost every tribe is represented on Team Cummings. Then I tell you what is also true. I'm a member of the National Patriotic Party. I'm there. There are members of the Unity Party. They're there. There are members of CDC. They're there. What I see Alex trying to say to the country is we must include and not exclude. Because we have excluded too long in this country. We exclude until we separate who can get quality education, who can get quality education. Over time, what we have seen is that those who we don't give quality education become the measure of the education of those who have it. And they will demand. Society has a way of catching up with people and making demands on them. We better make sure everybody gets the same level of chance and opportunity. Now, if Louis Brown has committed a crime in Liberia, Louis Brown should answer for his crime. But we can't just sit down in a comfortable space and say, whoever tells us that you got to be a bad man. We can't do that to each other. Then we keep piling that on. So I say President Weah has failed. So now if all President Weah ministers, we just say now, you work for President Weah, so you have no future in the country. Then those people who we keep excluding, but not by law, but by just our own prejudice, by our own perception, what we end up doing is building a country of exclusion. Exclusion draws hate. Hate leads to violence. Violence leads to breakdown. The change I see Alex making here is to say, everybody must have a chance in a Cummings Liberia. But nobody should be excluded from answering to the law. Nobody. So if you have something for Louis Brown, take him to court. Let's make it easy for Louis Brown to be able to face his accusers and to answer for his crimes. No crime should go unpunished, and no one should be seen as above the law. But if we must do that, then nobody must be seen too far under the law. All of us must be equal under the same law. And that is the message that Team Cummings is sending. I mean, you see disabled people. You see people of all walks of life. You see ex-combatants. You see youth. You see young ladies. You see older women. You see market. Look at the picture. The woman standing right next to Mr. Cummings, a head of a market. So that is the kind of Liberia we need to build, where Mr. Cummings is not just for ANC, he is for Liberia. And that's what I'm afraid this government doesn't understand. Everybody who should work for the government must be a sedition. They're not sedition. We can't, we were not, read our national song. We were not asked to build a strong political party. We're asked to build a united country. That's why I see in Mr. Cummings.
Great, great. Wow.
Yeah.
So
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
before I come in, I will ask our viewer, for those who their first time joining us, to please press the like button, so whenever we comes on, they get notification, and then you can. And we'll also ask you to please kindly share our show. Mr. Brown, you have gave a lot of good information. And before I go to my question, you are the most talked about person in recent time when you came onto the team Cummings.
Yeah.
And before I go to my question, I want you to listen to this clip I'm going to play, and then I'll follow up. And I want your take on this.
The same man that used to work, that was served in the foreign ministry in America, he said, and it's very serious, and I'm going to say it, that George Weah will not go to election. Well, I want to tell you, you think he's a rebel. But other people present more than other people. You think you're present there, they pass mark. No, some people, they pass more than mark. I don't know why he meant that I will not go to elections. But I want to say to him, and I will call it here, Louis Brown. Louis Brown was sacked because he was out of the code of diplomacy. He doesn't know diplomacy at all. He doesn't know the difference between America and Liberia. He doesn't know our relationship with America. He doesn't know that America is our traditional partner. And that man, and he doesn't listen to leaders. That man, in the ministry, we asked that man to vote for America. He voted as in America, and that's why we sacked him. For not understanding that we in America, we have a partnership that no one can break. Even in the diaspora, when I went to France, they asked me a question. Why America? I said America is our partner, and the friend of our partner is our friend. So whether we like it or not, and I'm not saying this.
So, Louis Brown, Ambassador Brown, there was forced on you by the president, His Excellency George Manuel Weah, in his church.
Yeah.
Why is Louis Brown so popular, and what Louis Brown bring onto Tim Cummings that making the president to give whole sermon on him? You want to talk about that a little bit?
You know, I would say that one of my characteristics, if you will, is to try to speak the truth as I know it. The president and I, we've been friends for many years. After his presidency, I'm sure we will remain friends. We'll be friends. I just happen to disagree. And he knows me as a friend, that when I disagree, or when I say I will support someone, I'm not a lukewarm person. I don't know how to do something and don't try to do it fully. You know, so the president knows none of this happened until I endorsed Mr. Cummings. Then suddenly I became a rebel. Before that, I was not rebel. I was not crazy. But you know, there are a few things that's wrong with what the president did. One is to try to threaten me. I have seen a lot. You know, when some of us were going to jail and fighting for this country, President Weah was playing football. I mean, no offense. I mean, I will not give like that, you know. So You know, I said to him on some other network, I said, it's possible you can kill me. You're the president, you're capable of all kind of things. You can kill me. But what you can never do to me, that to seal my lips out of fear, you can never scare me. So he went to the church, the house of God. He decided he would do what we're not paying him to do. The man, you can't tell the last time he addressed the nation. You can't tell the last time he addressed the nation on any serious subject. But he goes to church in God's house at the holiest of places in the church, the altar. The president stood there and decided he would lie. He will gossip. He said, I say, and I go, how can I say you will not reach to 2023? How? I don't own your life. I've never owned any life of anyone. No, what I said was, we will beat you like old drum in 2023 because you are fit. So the president will carry a cassette to him, the president carry a go. I actually said, we will beat you, Mr. President, like old drum in 2023. And every day he makes beating him easy. The president said he won't get re-elected, but he's doing everything to show that he's unfit for the office. And that's, I thank God Linkford on this show. Because Lame will say, your witness fire off. I told you my first time ever seeing President Taylor. There were guns everywhere. I was displaced in Basel. I stood in front of him and said the killing of 4 innocent young Basel citizens was wrong. This was a guy leading a war. Then some kind of food begin, in jean trousers and khaki shirt, standing in front of you and say, in open public space, that the killing of people wrong. That joy will make me scared. When he can jump to my house, they can jump over my fence, they can say armed robber attack me. That's a normal story in our country. They can kill me. But they can't make me scared in my own country. And he knows that about me. Because in 2011, the president asked for my support in a mutual friend's office. And I told him, Mr. President, you're not qualified. No, by that time we were all friends. I said, I can't support you. You're not qualified to be president. In 5 years, say he took the job, he proved to me Liberian people elected him. 5 years, he said in one, I don't know if you people have seen the video. The president himself said in a recent trip to the United States, he said, I did nothing and the Liberian people elected me. Nothing. That was president. So for me, I had said to him in 2011, and this is somebody who can hold grudge. I knew by the time President Weah won, I was not staying at that UN. So I will come to the story that he even lied about. I knew I was not staying long at the UN because he is an unforgiving person. The fact that I told him in 2011, he was not qualified to be president, he hate that ball deep inside. But he has proven me right. Even though he ultimately became president, but look at our country now. Wow. Look at where Liberia is today. So let me deal with the other story. So the president can do everything except try to be president. He's a musician. The real job we're paying him for, he can't do it. The one we're paying him for, that's the one he can do. He's a musician. We're paying him to do that one. Now that clip you show, he was preaching. We pay the thing we pay you for, Mr. President. Please do it. Then maybe people will consider re-electing. No, he won't do nothing at that one. He can't tell the last time he had a cabinet meeting in a rice crisis. He can't tell the last time he had a cabinet meeting. That's the kind of president we have. And I said, maybe that's the one I really hate. I say it is better. I'm supporting Mr. Cummings. In my endorsement statement, I say I'm supporting Mr. Cummings because we must elect a leader to be president rather than elect a president that we hope will be a leader. Joe Weah is not a leader. He's my friend, but he's not a leader. This man never wore the captain band for any of his professional teams, even though he was the best player on those teams. They never gained captain band because the captain is the leader of the team, not necessarily the best player. We took the risk, and then I assume, he's not a leader. Let me deal now finally with that piece where he say, I don't know, call it diplomacy. I don't take instruction. First of all, the vote to which he refers was not even in his time. He was not even president. Election was not even over. This is a vote that occurred at the United Nations in December of 2016. President Sali was president. The person who instructed for, look, and this video is what, about a month or so old, right?
Yeah.
Can you imagine? 5 years later, the president don't even know how ambassadors can vote. 5 years after being president. He assumed by those utterances that I voted by myself. That's not how ambassadors vote, Mr. President. Ambassadors, so if you look there, they say Liberia vote. This is Louis Brown vote. Ambassadors don't vote personally at the UN. The way they vote, they get instruction to the foreign ministry from the president. Our constitution says the chief foreign policy architect is the president. The president is the decider of foreign policy. So the government instructed, I was representing the government at the UN. They instructed how they would vote. But coincidentally, I was not even at the United Nations. I was home in Monrovia. I have been recalled for consultation. We're discussing some matter when the vote occurred at the UN. Why putting anything on me? His only problem was I did not endorse him. I endorsed Alexander Cummings. And Alexander Cummings is a better leader. So all that other talk, if I think I'm crazy, there are other people crazy, but he was just trying to threaten me. He's just trying to think he can threaten me in my own country. They can kill me. I'm going to be clear. People kill me for plenty of things. They can kill me, but they can't make me scared. They can't. I swear to everything. They will never make me scared to tell them the truth in my own country. It will never happen. I will never criticize them by running away to Guinea or Sierra Leone or some other country. They are tough from there. Then I mean, or go America there and say the government. I will sit down right here, and all of them know my house. They're right on the road. I don't run away from here. I'm in my office. From my office, I'm going straight home. So maybe y'all were here one day and Robert visited Louis Brown, and the people went. The fact of the matter is, he lied on me, and he lied on me in a chat.
Oh. The internet is playing up.
Well, in the meantime, let's announce to our viewers that you can place in your call. The telephone number is right there on the screen. It's a WhatsApp number, so you don't need to worry much about data. So you can call us on that number. Yeah, Ambassador.
Sorry. So just to wrap up that point, I'm sorry. It was a total lie. I will never threaten a president or threaten his life. Why would I say the president when I reach 2020? I dare him any day to show where I said that. I bet you will tell you that somebody told him. They made a listen to small children gossip. When you be man, you can't be doing small children thing. Gossip for small more people. You got to move your ear from gossip now because you're president, you be man. But you can't do it. So first of all, I never said that. Number two, he lied on me that he instructed me to vote one way. He's trying to look for, he went to UN, the people, they jammed him into one small space in New York. So he's trying to look for a way to appease the American, to say he instructed me and I voted. But the Americans know how ambassadors can vote. But number two, the Americans know that he was not even in his time. He never instructed me about any single vote at the United Nations. So for him to come and say, he told me that the US, he was just playing politics. He think when the boy the boy will have to investigate the facts. And the boy will say, oh yeah, Joe, we are let up. So even though he feeling like, bro, we'll put him back there. People don't do it like that. You fail that the Liberian people will decide your fate. And I'm telling him again, let me use your platform to tell him. He don't listen to all kind of platform. He's so less busy. We will beat you, Mr. President, like old drum.
So let me follow us while we're on, because you are the most talk about person now, and you and Daniel Chia. I don't know him, but they are the two most talk about people on all the social media platforms, and even in Liberia. So I know you stay part of the National Patriotic Party. Okay. My question to you is, can you please tell our audience, what do you bring to Team Cummings that fear the rest, the other group?
I bring experience. I think the most important thing I bring is experience. You know, I told you I was one of the youngest, if not the youngest, in the administration of President Taylor. I saw presidential decision making. Then I was then I became national security advisor. I've been a managing director. I've been a minister. I have represented, you know, when the OAU was transitioning to the AU, to the African Union, in Lusaka, Zambia, I represented Liberia. I sat with kings and presidents, and so I bring a wealth of experience. On the one hand, they say, Mr. Alexander, come in, no way in government before, he got no experience. But then you find experienced people, you say, okay, but I can find one experienced man. They say, but I met too long in the government. People just scared. The bottom line, Paul, is that the people scared. They know us. And they know we are fully committed to doing the best we can for Alex to win, because Alex is the best person running for the office to lead us. So all of that criticism, and you notice that it never happened until I endorsed. When I endorsed at the time, I told a group of students that, you know, to kill a dog, you gotta give it a bad name. Nobody can take a nice little poodle playing with a beautiful little puppy, and then you just suddenly kill it. You gotta call it dog, all kind of name for it. Look at it, eat it ugly. Look at it, dirty dog before you kick it. Because in your mind you want to justify. And you know, growing up, we had this joke. I had one of my friends who, you know, grew up the highway, hustling. You know, there was no getting that were bigger than us. We couldn't afford them. But he stopped us from dreaming that we could approach them. But he was a limbo, he laughing because he said, you know, you're not go through that other operation before. There's a Jew there, you know that that's your level. Because everybody get a level. Some Jew there, you look at it, that's your level. But some of us used to let them be brave. They used to force outside. So one of my men, where he chased the Jew, and the Jew, of course, staying down. So we're coming from the airplane, and long distance, we had a wall. Yeah. Long distance, coming back from the plane now, we're consoling each other. Then my man started telling me, but you know, LB, I don't know what waste our time for that. They cannot even find. They get who will walk the long distance. I think you realize they get found because they get such a one. Why you tell me they get found in water long distance? We're coming home disappointed. Then he's telling me now that they get even found. You know, sometimes the human psychology is that you don't want to blame yourself. You forgive yourself to say by blaming other people. So if I had endorsed President Weah, by now I am the best person that this country has ever seen. I would be respected and regarded by the government as the most experienced. This man has loved his country. But because I endorse the opponent and they know how I can work, they know I am a serious person. I'm not a kid. I don't joke about my decisions. And I'm bold. I say it to my friends. Everybody who know me. You know Adolphus. You know Herman. Ask them about me. One of the things they will say about me is that I'm honest to my friendship. And honesty means telling each other the truth. I told Mr. Weah in 2011 he was not qualified to be president. He's been holding that grudge against me.
Wow.
For saying that to his face. And I didn't say it behind, I said it to his face in front of a mutual friend who is still today our witness. And that's why he's been. So for me to go and endorse Ellis Cummings, suddenly Ellis, he said, you get clean hands. What are you doing with dirty hands, Louis Brown? If my hands are dirty and you the government, why you can't take me to court? You just be talking there by yourself. If I rebel, the whole presidency are rebel. The presidency are crazy. But there are other crazier people than me. Why can't they take me to court? But they didn't get nothing. They didn't get nothing to say. The only thing they get to say is they want to say, Cummings say he's a good guy, then Cummings is with Louis Brown. That's their propaganda. And that's because they have nothing to say.
Right. I think we'll look at some of the viewers have questions for you. We'll display it on this. Orita, I want to look at 1T Clark question here. This is the first question sent for. You want to read that out, Orita?
Sure, Paul. 1TM Clark question is, Liberia is at a critical point. We need to protect our democracy and country. What plans does Team Cummings have for involving all Liberians at home and abroad to make this current president one term?
This is a very good question, and thank you. So, by the way, you heard that when Mr. Cummings named his team, he said this is the initial listing. And that initial listing sent a bombshell. It was like a shock wave. There were some people who thought some of the names on that list were not even backing Mr. Cummings. And then, yes, some other names yet. They are government officials that are backing Cummings. When you want to call it, hey, my man, you may not take that job. So when we get to the real part, then you'll hear the final list. When you hear the final list of Team Cummings, let me just tell you, some of you will be extremely shocked and surprised. Now, as to the question, what we want to do, and I said this earlier, is to build a big tent and a wider umbrella of Liberians. It should never matter, and it really doesn't matter to Alex. If you for ANC, if you for CDC, if you for NPP, or if you in the diaspora, or if you even at home, if you man or woman, if you poor or gay, if you fought the war before or you never fought the war, or what is important is what contribution can you make to change your country? Under Alex, nobody should have an excuse. Nobody should be excluded. We want to give everybody the chance. So if you qualify to do anything or you're not qualified at all, it is the duty of the government to provide you the opportunity to qualify yourself, because a strength of a chain is in its weakest link. If you qualify and others are not qualified, the people that are not qualified are a threat to those who are qualified. We must provide opportunities for every Liberian to be able to make it. This is what Team Cummings will truly represent. Those who can read. We have a WhatsApp chat room. Let me tell you the joke. So one of the Team Cummings members called me. So I have posted meeting date, and one of the team goes say, Mr. Brown, they say you call meeting. I say, yeah. But what do you put a meeting here? I say, I put it in the chat room. He said, what do you call chat room? I said, the play, what we're going to tell. He said, somebody told you I can read. Who told you are there? And you say anything for everybody. When you call meeting, Mr. Brown, you must call my name, call my number for me to. So I said, oh, so when we put in minutes of the meeting, she said, I will go to every meeting. But if you want to put anything that you read long thing, the way you let reading long thing, you must call me and read it to me so I can hear it. And this is the kind of society we need to build. Everybody must have a change. Look, the other day we had a meeting. You should have seen the number of disabled people that came. The blind, the deaf and dumb, the crippled.
Internet Liberia.
Well, I think we can display Klatume's question here probably when he comes back. He can look at it. Not Klatume, but Ghost guy. I always mix you up with this. There's a guy called Klatume too. Well, Ambassador Brown, we have one question here from
Joyful Son Augustus Gatume, one of our ANC brother from Germany. I will read his question. Yeah. He wrote, what if the MPP feeds a presidential candidate in the elections? Just what if? How will you decide in advancing Cummings' platform from that of NPP?
So you see, I said at some point in the show that I'm an NPP man. I don't change parties. I don't, I hear for one day, then the next party, they are joined. Then I mean, in fact, I helped to form the NPP. I'm one of the founding members of the NPP. And we formed this party as the political vehicle to end the war. Linkford will tell you that. So for me, I got brothers, some of the people I named here, Augustine Yiswa, Tia Fagati, Alexander Kulu, they have all died. So I cannot leave the thing we all struggle to create. But I can disagree. And all of them know my position. I don't take position without informing the party. Gentlemen, right now, the party is in a coalition with President Weah. The party, MPP Standard Bearer is the vice president in the government. So some people say, maybe I'm looking for a job from, you don't think it's very easy for me to go to, they play my party air, I can just go to President Weah or Jewel and say, I'm looking for a job, but I'm not looking for a job. I'm looking for change. To me, my party is in the wrong place, and this President Weah has failed. To me, I'm not bulging about that. I'm not arguing about that. It's clear in my mind. I see it every day in the lives of the Liberian people. I see it every morning in the people that go to my fence to ask for handout. I don't think they want to do it. I think they're forced to do it. So to re-elect him, the guy once saying, all of you are here, nobody's stupid yet. To re-elect him, we really gotta be stupid yet. So I've said to my party, my people, if you're going back to that your coalition, your go. I can't decide alone for you. But this May, then I will hold my membership, I will pay my dues, but I will support the best person to help to change Liberia. The man can't do it. He may be popular, he can make promises, he like to preach, he like to sing, he like to dance, but he can't be president. He ain't want a job. I'm done. I'm going now. I said the other day, I supported him this length of time with silence. Like Rebel elected, they may won by 61% of the vote. So you got to give him a chance to do a job. But as we go to another election, no, if it's in my book. So I cannot support failure. You got to send your son to school. The ball failed. You see so rare mark in your car. You fooling yourself when you go tell your neighbor, oh, my son does his class. That yourself you fooling. You spoiling our labor. You better let him go by and repeat. So we should not be in the business of rewarding bad behavior. When people fail, we must let them get the consequences for failure. So I disagree with my party. Some of them see my side. and say, I think you're right. Some of them say, well, maybe the man will change. For me, my argument, the thing you can't do in 6 years, you will never do it in 20. Right. Especially when 6 years is supposed to be every government, the countries you're in. First term is usually the best term because that's when everybody gives you the chance to do your best. And you yourself do your best because you want to be rewarded with a second term. The first time looking like that, what would I say? I know you remember. Linford, you've been going too long now. Baby, the baby ain't born the eyeball looking like that. The baby ain't born the eyeball looking like that. The first 6 years look like that. Then we're going to 12.
So, let me answer. So, the first, so in the UK here, again, our prime minister 44 days, she was out.
In fact, I thought I was 45. Now you got another young, brilliant Indian descent. But you know the people on a thing, they don't waste time. Their parliamentarians says that they don't waste time. And the people are honorable. The people are honorable. Your policy fail. Your financial, your economic revival policy fail. Nobody will tell you to resign. Your own minister that on your side, they don't want to start resigning from you. Then you say, no way to win now. I'm gone. Yeah. And not shame. But our own. You fail, then you hold in it, and you know you stay swear won't give it back to you. But what kind of business was this?
No, but there's a reason why. There's a reason why even if our people fail, they don't want to leave it because they've done so many bad things in that short period of time, and so they're afraid if they leave, what will happen to me? But let me. Can
I just come? One thing I want to point out, and it got to do with Liberians. When I hear people on ground saying that, oh, Liberians, they will never change this and that. I disagree because I see Liberians who migrated to country after the war. I see Liberians as we speak, as soon as they cross the border. When they come to country in the diaspora, Mr. Brian and everybody, some of them they are scared to spit on the ground in other people's country. Meaning that they adjust to the people's system, rules, and law. And one thing, I'm proud of Liberians. I'm not saying all Liberians are perfect, but majority of Liberians living in the diaspora, we are now, when it comes to crimes, when it comes to heinous, crimes and stuff, the statistic, we are not, within that statistic. So for me, I know that we can do it, but we need a leader that will tell us, that will lead us and say, you know what? This is what we're dealing with. The country is for all of us, and everybody will eat from the bowl. But you cannot just take for granted your brother, or you beating your child like the child is a slave. There are rules and regulations that you and every other Liberian have to follow. We can do it. We can build our country.
We do follow rules. But the biggest problem we have had is the same thing we'll say here. I hope you ain't forgetting the Liberian parable then. Fish can get rotten from where? From. So this has been our problem. Look, and the people say, and that's why I'm supporting Alex, because I think he will make a good head. Once you face the hay, the rest of the body will be easier because people want good example. But you say you made a big speech at inauguration. You say we'll fight corruption, we'll fight there be no more corruption, no more corruption. As soon as you get through making that speech, you go, the land you didn't own before, you start buying it. The building you didn't have before, you start bidding. You 40 condominium, you cannot declare your asset. No minister can declare the asset.
And the worst one, the part of Joshua's speech, every day I wake up, now my crew better, but I can cost Joshua. The part is where Liberians will not
let Obama can say, let your vote him up. Yeah, vote him for them.
I can look in the mirror, I say, Joshua, you in? The part where it's like, Liberians will not be spectator.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but
Go out Liberian business people. Go out Liberian business people.
yeah. And all I'm supposed to play on the beat football field. How can I? Like, we the one we went get water, we cleaning people boots, we the Liberian, we cleaning people, we're not even from Liberia, we cleaning our boots, we holding our shirt, we when they fall down, like we the one wiping dust from them. And like we the one supposed to be on the football field, kicking the ball, all the
Wow. The normal Liberian are outside the fence. You talking about on the football field? You're not even spectator. Some people can't even get into the into the fence. One of my worst images of recent since the war was to see Liberian women pregnant, this, that, scrambling over each other at a Lebanese man fence for rice. For rice. In our own country, for rice. I prefer that we are scrambling at a Liberian man gate. And you know, they say, oh, they made a Liberian importer and bring the red on top. At least we'll be to a Liberian gate. But we are doing this, our staple food, at a Lebanese man fence. We're fighting over each other. Pregnant women. Some people have been to the place for 3 days. Some people say they have been there for 1 week looking for rice. The president said that street talk. Right? Yeah, no man put in. I street talk the men are talking about. See Liberians there. That the man who say, I want to get re-elected. All right. We'll see who's to pay.
Let me come in for do you still want to come in?
No, there's if we can if Ambassador can give a few more minutes, the question from Wanty and 3 other questions on there. If we can display them, and then we
sorry.
Is that okay?
Yeah, just
somebody got a monitor on. There's a little feedback.
Yeah. Sorry.
Got a lawyer.
There's a question. Somebody, actually sent me a question in inbox that they want me to ask him, Mr. Brown. Oh, my phone. No, the question is that if I could ask you about a photo of you around your arms on the body. I don't know what the person didn't send no photo, no nothing. So I don't know. So I can.
People will just throw you off gear. So let me display the one thing. There's a question. It's frozen.
Yeah, but display the question.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the question.
I'll wait till he's back on.
Well, viewers, you can also call. The telephone number is rolling on the screen there. You can also call and have interactive discussion with the guest. And
you see, the telephone situation in Liberia, the internet situation in Liberia is very interesting. And then if you go to the neighboring country, the internet flow for nothing.
But you see, this is where Liberians now supposed to understand why we sit here and do all of this talking. Because I mean, in this age and time, internet should not be a problem in a country like Liberia. I mean, we're going to 200 years. I mean, for God's sake.
The part that can really get to me, let's forget, the Western world. You got Liberians who someone can take weekend trips to African countries, develop African countries, and they will take a lot of pictures.
The new place they're going at Dubai.
Oh, but they won't have any. But then the fact is that when you want to develop Liberia, they say that, you don't bring the Liberia is good. I'm like,
I can tell you guys something. You see the fiber optic cables that are being laid across the globe. Do you know they still lay it now in Liberia? When it came to Liberia, they wanted to do it themselves, and they don't have the technical know-how. So they jump over Liberia and went to other countries. So now, after many years, it's now returned. So if you go Liberia, still digging with shovel to lay the fiber optic cable. So we should have been from the Atlantic, on the Atlantic Ocean. The thing came and passed by us and went to Ghana and other places and went inward, those inward countries. we still behind. We still laying cable. So when will we reach there? And this is the problem with our country. We don't take things seriously. You go to Ghana today, everybody, you put one CD can last you 24 hours. That one CD is nothing less than a pence here. And look what happening. You got this program, he's gone off.
Yes,
Yeah,
and
so,
Courage son Barry is complaining that we're not giving her what she wants. We don't distinguish.
What do you want?
We don't distinguish between people here. But the question, I think she put up one question, asking.
we're going through the questions. So Courage shouldn't
asking Mr. Cummings priorities or something. But there was a short video about Mr. Cummings, what he plans to do. Probably if we play, maybe she has not watched it before. So if we play it, probably it will help you to understand some of what Mr. Cummings wants. So just listen to this one.
My name is Alexander Cummings, and I want to work with honest men and women to change Liberia for the better. I want to open the doors of governance to all capable persons. I want to use the collective brain power of all of our men and women. I want to build a nation of self-sufficiency. I want to build an environment that thrives on and promotes a vibrant Liberian private sector. I want to ensure that we are a nation where education is key in all of our national development priorities. I want to create and nurture a development agenda that ensures our young people have jobs when they graduate from school. I want to create an environment where our women have access to equal opportunities in every aspect of our society. I want to promote a system that uses our country's natural resources for the benefit of all. I want to see our country flourish beyond our wildest imagination. We are capable of doing it if we work together. We may not all agree all of the time, but we can set aside our differences and work towards charting a new course without the infighting, backbiting, and backstabbing. Whether you're a member of the ANC, ALP, LP, or UP, we must channel our support for individual candidates into championing our collective objective, defeating the Willier administration in the 2023 presidential and legislative elections, and ushering in a governance more prepared, more capable, more experienced, more skilled, and more honest men and women. With your help, we can move Liberia to being a better country. I thank you. God bless you and God bless Liberia.
Okay, I think our guest is back. Sorry for, this is what we're talking about, Liberia, the backwardness at this age and time in the world for a country that is almost 200 years old to not even have a fitting internet connectivity. Mr. Brown, Ambassador Brown, our time is fast approaching, and we don't want to keep you so long. But let me ask one question. The question is, since you announced your support for Mr. Cummings and that of former Defense Minister Daniel Chair being named on Cummings' team, it has brought a lot of controversy. Looking at the background, both of you come from the Taylor camp, former President Taylor's camp. Now, you love Liberia, and according to you, you love Liberia, and you see Mr. Cummings as the change that you can support. But if your presence on the team, please lower your volume, somebody guys are following on. If your presence on Team Cummings, I'm not talking about you supporting Mr. Cummings or voting for him, but if your presence on the team will make people to begin to question Mr. Cummings' character, will you want to recuse yourself and play a lower profile and be in the background while you support Mr. Cummings instead of even being on the team on the forefront?
Yeah. If Mr. Cummings ever determined that what I will not do is to, for instance, let somebody sit down somewhere and say, I'm bad for Alex. Then I say, okay, they are gone. Because that's exactly what we have people want me to do. That's exactly what the weird people want me to do. So, but if Alex ever determines that, oh, Louis, I think, look, I don't need a link for it. I've made a name for myself in my short lifetime. I do not need Mr. Cummings to give me a job. I'm not doing it for any personal gratification. I was in and out of Liberia for the last 5 years without. I'm not even sure you knew I was even home some of the time, Linkford.
No,
recently, when I said I am, because that's the kind of person that I am. The president got his 61% mandate. Let's give him a chance to delay. We don't need excuses. Give him a space, give him a time. Don't distract him. Don't let him say, I was going to do that, but I don't lose brown man anymore. Just making no behind me every day. So we were quiet. I thought nothing. Going to the next election, it appears to me I believe he has failed. Plenty of people in this country believe he has failed. And we need to persuade people to see and believe that he has failed enough not to earn a second term. So this is what I'm doing. This is what I don't like. In politics, they say, the friend of my friend is my friend. Am I true? The friend of my enemy is my enemy. And the enemy of my friend cannot be my friend. You got to be my enemy. But in any case, if Linford, you got a wife, fine woman, everybody that look at your wife say, you lock her, praising your wife. Then you go get one man. As long as you got fire, my man live for my man. Mele, why you doing that kind of woman, my man? That the man will follow. That the man will jump behind and say, okay, say my man say, you're not all right. I leave in that woman, man. In fact, the guy, by the time you say you leave in that woman, in my wife, you are staying there, that means that the guy trying to chase that guy. That's why he's trying to discourage you to move from behind the guy. Look, this is not about me. This campaign will not be about me. This is about Liberia. And that's the message we're carrying to everybody. This is about Liberia. When the opponents start screaming, where you get the other people from? Why you tell the other people? But when and we so bad, and it's gonna be easy for you to be the man. We're making it easy. Why are you crying more than the bereaved? Seeing that you're Louis Brown man. Oh, the man who are trying to beat, he don't want to say, I'm gonna accept the other people who endorse me. That didn't make any sense. If Mr. Comey come to me tomorrow, he said, Louis, you are an embarrassment to my campaign. The country won't vote for me, but the country say, if you here with me, they will not vote for me. I go on, live for it. Thank you, Mr. Comey. I'm happy the country see you as the best person. Do the thing the people will send you there to do. If you don't do it, you get from me.
If you say that,
for Mr. Comey opponents who don't want him to win, to be the one determining who he's supposed to work with, who he's not supposed to work with.
Okay, Ambassador Brown, when you say that, if Mr. Cummings says that, oh, your presence on the team is making people to Gramoso, can you leave? You will leave. But the question is, are you still going to vote for him? Because I was in a conversation with some people who have problem with this thing, and I asked them, okay, besides Ambassador Brown, and in fact, besides the list, all the people on that list, besides them being on the list, if they are subtracted from the list, and then they just remain ordinary people and try to cast their vote, they go and cast their vote. How are you going? What can you do to stop them from voting for Mr. Cummings? So that was the question you couldn't answer.
There are some people that look at that list and thought our appointment to government list. First of all, there are some people that thought, oh, that means they're coming cabinet yet. They're not cabinet list. They're not list of. So that's the first thing. The people, you know, that 44 names on that list. The people that attack 2 or 3. Toga. They scared. The other people in general, they don't even exist. They say, but what happened to all the other people on the list? But with list, some people don't forget that for the four people on the list. So
let me, Ambassador. The thing is, funnily, it's only 2 of you. Actually, why 2 of you? You and Daniel Chia, because is that something about the 2 of you that they don't talk much about?
I can't speak for Daniel. No, Toga owned the attacking organ away. I can't speak for Daniel, right? Daniel will speak for himself. Yeah. But I can say to you, when the president go to the church, and the president know he lying on me. Not me, I don't know. The president said no. His ministers who were clapping for him in the church because they are made some the minister go to service. The minister who were clapping for him in the church know the president lie. And then all of them are attacking. One other guy on one network say, come and pay me $75,000 a month. I said, where am I getting that kind of money from? You really value me that much? $75,000 just for me to vote for him a month? Between 9 elections, I would rather be bloody. The kind of money I would make.
Maybe you got multiple votes.
Yeah.
They just scared.
On a serious note,
the real problem is they scared. They never saw people like me to support comics.
Oh, wait, you can't keep on. Let me take the 1 second to follow up. You ran for, if I remember well, for senator in Montserrat County. What year was that?
Correct.
Yeah, and you gathered some votes. Do you think
11 election? Yes.
Yeah. Do you think you stay command
129,000 votes, even though I lost?
Okay. Do you think you
and there were many
the internet
places 100,000 votes?
Okay, but do you think you stay command or group in Montserrat County if you were to fight for any election, or that now that you are leading on Mr. Commission's side, do you think you can say command or group? That's the first part of the question.
I'm thinking.
That's the first part of the question. The second part of the question: do you have any political ambition that you want to be senator? You want to be anything? First of all,
no. One of the things I said to Mr. Cummings, you know, I don't know if some of you know, one of my dreams has been to complete law school. You know, when the war broke out in law school, the guy who became the dean later was somebody that we have to recruit to sing. Councillor Nimbali One. One of my dreams has always been to go finish my law school. So I honestly, between me and you, Linkford, I have even government job attire. I am Judy Bryant. After the negotiation, Judy Bryant asked me, he's dead. I don't like to use dead people for witnesses. Judy Bryant asked me to be ambassador to Washington. I refused. I said, I want to see this thing. I'm not looking for a government job. I'm not looking for a job, to be honest. If I were looking for a job, the easy person to go support for job in it, that the person that my party already supporting. My party is vice president of this government. Then I am opposing the government. Then a job I'm looking for? I'm not looking for a job. Joel myself on first term basis, on first name basis. If I call Joel now, she'll answer my phone. I will go there and say, okay, you know what? I don't want to oppose. Let me go. But I want this country to be better. When the country is better, all of us will be better. And I'm looking for a job. So those who thinking that, oh, you know, and plus, when I ran in Montserrat, and I did not have the means to cover any of the place, I printed no t-shirt. I printed absolutely, I mean, I didn't even have the means. I won against CDC, 129,000 votes. 129,000. It was more votes. I won more votes in Mazzarado than many other presidential candidates won across the whole country. These people know me. They're scared of me. They're scared of me like medicine.
We have a caller. We have a
They
caller.
said the man got let me just finish the other point. I know we got it wrong. They said the man got 7% in 2017. And I want to say, oh, the man got 7%, ain't going nowhere. He can't go nothing. He can't do nothing. From the day I endorsed this man, have you seen all the attack now they've been dumping? Don't forget that the man got 7% now. Look, take my word for it. President Weah is helping Mr. Cummings to win the election more than even me because of his performance. People suffering in this country. I am bold, audacious, and strong-willed enough to go everywhere in this country and tell the Liberian people, join me, we beat this man like old drum. And that's what I'm doing. And that's what they know I'm capable of doing. And that's what they are afraid of. Don't mind all that talk. One of the first things they attack me about, they say, I ain't got no constituency. Louis Brown, I won't vote. That man, he can't do. But then why you can't just leave me now?
Yeah, hold on. Okay, yeah, we have a caller, Ambassador Brown. Caller, what's your name and where you calling from?
My name is Roland, and I'm calling from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Mr. Brown, how are you?
I'm good, my brother. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. So, so I've been around. You know, I've listened to several of the different analysis, not only by you, but different, folks in the political arena in our country. Listened to all of those, and yes, indeed, Mr. Cummings does possess all of those qualities and everything that anyone would like to see in a leader or someone who's really vying for the highest office in our country. My question is, it seems like a struggle trying to connect Mr. Cummings with the ordinary people, the ones from the water side, in the villages and other things. What is really the issue? How does this continue to be a problem? Because it's not just with me. I mean, we've done some little side groups and things just to talk about the situations in our country, and everybody does seem to like and kind of get a little bit closer to Mr. Cummings. The issue that we continue to find is this issue of connecting with the ordinary people. Why is this the issue? Why does this seem to be a struggle for the Cummings team?
Well, I think you are right. You are right. What we have identified as a challenge we need to overcome is connecting with people's hearts and minds at the grassroots level. Now, at the grassroots level, what do people see and what do they think? At the higher intellectual level, Mr. Cummings communicates very well, easily acceptable, and he makes sense to many people. We are dealing with this problem, and it is a challenge. We intend to overcome it. We have a few months to overcome it. And I assure you we will overcome it, because to win, we must overcome it. But yes, I admit to you that we have a challenge at the grassroots level, because at the grassroots level, it seems to me that politics is a bit different. What people deal with is a bit different. Like I was telling you about the failures, and we're not paying the president to preach. We're not paying the president to sing. But there's a many at the grassroots level that the only reason they let the president currently. Mama, you saw the Brabi, that Brabi know how to giggle. You saw the man dancing booga, that man know how to enjoy himself, the man of ball. Mama, you saw the man play, some people. So we got to find a way beyond some of the other issues to connect with the hearts and minds of the ordinary people. And so we have a plan to do that. We're working on our plan to do that. Our strategy is good. You will soon see that wave start to pick up because, of course, Mr. Cummings is traveling right now. Once he gets back, you will see a lot of grassroots, on-the-ground activity. Some people likes to connect. The Americans call it pressing the flesh. Some people want to see you. Some people want to hug you. Some people want to connect that way. Some people want emotional connection with their leader. And we're working on all of that. It's not one thing. It's a number of things that we have identified. And I assure you we are working on because for the sake of our country, we have to win this election. I hope you will help us as well because it's not enough that we just identify the problem, bro. We also want you to participate in helping us solve the problem. So I know you got relatives at grassroots level and other places. We're building a massive grassroots. So even if you look at the Team Cummings, even though there are 2-3 persons that they are attacking, there are grassroots people on that Team Cummings that are getting on the ground in their community. Our strategy is a community-based engagement strategy. And we will succeed with it and win.
So, Mr. Brown, a quick follow-up here, because Mr. Cummings has been around for some time. I mean, the first issue people had then was, oh, he's just coming. He's the newbie, new open. So we cannot gravitate towards him. So let's go for somebody else that we've seen, a little bit too often and stuff like that. So that was part of the many issues or layer of issues that might have affected him the first time. So he didn't get the kind of votes that he, that was required. But then the issue of the same connectivity that I'm talking about was there. It was there. So my thing is, see how much of a time is ticking. And I know you would tell me, look, Roland, it's not something we can just grab onto in one instant. Okay, I agree. But there should have been a strategy over these many years leading up to where we are at the moment. We're just a few more months away. I mean, before you know it's going to be here, Mr. Brown.
So you're right. But at that time he didn't have me. So you thought to Orita there, who the ANC people, they were supposed to fit their strategy. So when they started having me, that's why the government attacking, because they know Mel and me will think through how we solve that kind of problem, even in the next few months. So and when you look at that list, quite frankly, you will see on that list a host of grassroots community-based people. And that's why you have that kind of list of people that people can see themselves in. And all of this is also a part of the experience that we bring to the table. That's why the government fighting us and suggesting to Mr. Cummings, you should probably do away with Louis Brown and other people because we will get his feet wet on the ground with grassroots community and grassroots engagement. Now, the last point I'd like to make on that, Roland, is that even a grassrooter like President Weah, it took him at least 2 or 3 trials before he actually won the election. So our people will take time to get to know you. Our people will take time to understand you and you understand them and build that comfort level. And we think that so far we're doing a very good job at it.
Okay, thank you, Mr.
I'm sorry. Let me just take one last hit at this. I'm begging you guys, please. I don't get to do this often, so please let me do this because I was looking for an opportunity to engage the Cummings team, and this is a great one for me. So here's what I'm looking at, Mr. Brown.
Okay.
The Cummings, there was a big convention here in the United States in Maryland.
Yeah.
Now the same thing I'm talking about, Mr. Brown, missing the mark, and this is what I noticed, that the Cummings' team started to miss the mark again, because the first thing, the entire team is branded as an elitist group of folks. Now, the thing I understand about that, it's not bothering me because I know our people, the moment you land a small boat, they start looking at you in a different way, and to surround yourself with people who understand the details and can get the work done. Sometimes our people look at it in a different way. There's nothing wrong with surrounding yourself with people with bright minds and people who are really brilliant when it comes to the academic side of things. But what I noticed, the Cummings team that came here to Maryland and the one that traveled to Canada at the same time, I still didn't see that connection of the grassroots, those ordinary people that could have been a part of that team to travel from from Liberia to come and be here and represent the folks from Liberia. That at least some of us will look at it and then, optics is important, Mr. Brown. Optics is very important. And if that continues to be the missing piece, you guys need to work hard to put those things together. Otherwise, we see another defeat.
So I get your point, but you see, I don't want to offer an excuse because you make a good point about. I think the point there was a point there when my internet went off, but I think your point was that you needed to see around Mr. Cummings to give you a sense that he understands that there's the value and relevance of the grassroots in terms of the optics, right?
Yes.
I hope that's what I heard. So Mr. Cummings going to a convention in the diaspora in Maryland, and he has to take people from the grassroots here to go there, or a small working team from his office. And while we are on the ground, by the way, I was asked to also attend that convention, but I declined and said, there's a lot of work that needs to be done here on the ground, because this is where we'll win this election. On the ground. We're not winning the election in Maryland, USA.
What would it mean to bring one or two? What would it mean to bring one or two persons with him? I'm not saying bring an entire army of grassroots. No.
I agree with you. I'm not disagreeing with you, but
I think Mr. Collar or the ambassador has agreed with you.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, and he has agreed that you will work on
no,
that.
Roland, what I'm saying, I understand your concern, and I can see you are a passionate supporter. You want Mr. Cummings to win, so you want him to do the right thing and take the right steps. But resources are just about this much. So I could have been there myself. We could have taken some members of Team Cummings that he named before he left to go out there. But for Mr. Cummings, I'm not sure optics is important in politics, but I'm not sure under the circumstances that was the most important thing. The most important thing is to plant ourselves on the ground here as deeply as we can into the grassroots community. And that is what we have been doing since he has been out. When he gets back, we will beam many of the pictures that you want to see. We'll get him. He's getting out. I don't want to break some news, but I assure you, your concerns will be properly and adequately addressed. And that's some of the reasons you see so many attacking me and don't want me around. Because some of the things we've been doing while he has been away is to address some of those concerns you are talking about. But we also know it is important that we stabilize here, because this is where we have to win the elections.
Probably you can ask Roland to send you some suggestions.
Yes, please, Roland. Lincoln has my number. After the show, he will share it with you because.
Okay, thank you, Roland.
I have a litany of those suggestions and recommendations. Trust me, they are things that will certainly move the needle here for the ANC. I can tell you that much.
Okay, you can contact the folks.
Please contact Linford. Please contact Linford. Please give him my number and let him be able to reach me. Thank you so much.
Okay, I'll do. Thank you, Roland.
But I just want to tell Roland that the convention in Maryland was actually for a fundraiser to help Mr. Cummings win the election. So if you're raising money, you don't want to bring people from on the other side. That's
you gotta pay people away. Anyway, I get the point though. I get the point he was trying to make.
Well, quickly, we have kept the ambassadors too long.
Yeah, in my office too. So I beg you, let's wrap up.
Yeah, now can we do that?
Before we wrap up, Ambassador, just a simple, tiny, the children can say tiny, winning question.
Okay.
Mr. Cummings been talking about you make we are one-term president and the Emmy are the very first round.
Correct.
We'll have another party there, the Unity Party. How would this one term, the first round, be on a goal like that, with Unity Party being one of the obstacles in the way?
It means we gotta beat both of them.
Okay.
And we beat both of them.
All right.
You gave me a tiny winning question, I gave you a tiny winning answer. It means we gotta beat both of them, and we beat both of them. No, but more seriously, we are extremely determined. We have set ourselves a very high goal, a very high mark. We will work with any opposition group, any opposition party. Our shared objective is to ensure Mr. Weah does not get re-elected. That's point number one. Point number two, we know our candidate is the best candidate to lead the country. The energy, the leadership credential, the leadership experience. They say the man got government experience. But maybe that's part of the problem. Too many people with too many government experience in not doing the right thing. So they will be voted that they will do the wrong thing because that the experience in doing the wrong thing. We need leadership experience. And the leadership we need is in doing the right thing the right way and getting the right results. That's the kind of experience we need. And in my mind, nobody running for the office currently has that leadership experience more than Alexander Cummings.
Rita, take your final word.
I just want to say thank you, Mr. Brown, for giving me a lot of clarity and for giving me like the courage to continue reading the book.
Oh, please go ahead.
What's in the book? The book.
No, this book. It's the fact that Linfo, when we had a meeting the last time, where it's this thing where people in the Liberia, in Liberia as a whole, is this thing where people go after he said, she said, you understand? And that is something, it has hindered and stalled a lot of development in Liberia. And for me, I'm like this. If you tell me, oh, this person is like this, I say, oh, okay. Because for me, that is your experience. I want to create my own experience with the person. So
at some point you were telling me somebody said they get picture of me hugging a dead body.
Yeah, something like that.
I was dead too. So why are trying to prove? Why are trying to prove that dead body myself can be close or what?
Probably you're feeling sorry for
sometimes they can't even think about the things they can try to do or say. I was hugging it.
You got anything final to the ambassador?
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Thank you for grazing the
bottom line. Thank you so much, Orita. Thank you
for giving clarity to question. I personally wanted to ask you. Yeah, so thank you
so much. Yeah. But please feel free, and Link4 also has my number. Please share it with your host and anything. I once you have public service life. My wife says, I have such a good wife. She said, the advantage you get with me is that plenty of people there with you, so I the one can be trying never to get there with you. You get too many people that there with you. By the time I run afoul of her, she wants me. I say, but you told me plenty of people there with me. You'll not be getting there with me. so you will try now. You think that the excuse you get now to be doing all kind of things.
Okay, Paul, quickly.
Yeah, Ambassador, it was great having you on the bottom line, and I hope this shouldn't be your first and the last. I would love to have you here. And we want you to do us a favor. You can talk to Lynn for all this. We want to bring Daniel here on this program So,
Oh yeah,
Liberian
I
food,
will share Linkford's number with Daniel, and I'm sure Daniel will call him.
Okay.
He may not be as jovial as I can be, or take some of the things as lightly as I do.
I know Danny. I know what
But I
Danny can do.
I will get him on the show. He's a very nice guy. I'll get him.
Yeah.
I'll get his number to. I'll give Linkford's number to him, Linkford, if you don't mind, and then I will let him.
Sure.
I will encourage him to call you, and then
so
you can have.
sometimes people clear the airway because people are
absolutely.
Yeah. So
absolutely.
it was great having you, and we haven't met, but I'm closer to two of your key people, and one of these days I'll run into you. We'll talk. So it was great.
I look forward to it. And anything two boys tell you about me, 99.9% true, because we literally grew up together. I went to Southern in class together for many years until we graduated from high school, and then they went off to. I went to LU. Herman went to Pottington, and Adolphus went to the States, to London.
Yeah, it was good having you. Thank you.
Okay,
thank you so much.
Finally, let me say thank you, Ambassador Brown. And when the idea about inviting you came about, Paul told me, I said, okay, wait, I said, Mr. Brown is no stranger to me. The moment he gets to know that it's me for calling, and surely when I call, he said, "About leave for me. Where you been, my man?" So, it's good that you were here and you have clarified, like Rita said, you have clarified a lot of things. And I guess that most of the people who are doubting or are not thinking the other way, if they want to actually understand, they would have understood by now. And so this should not be the last time. We're going to get back to you again. And probably through you, we're going to get back to, we're going to get to a lot of people that want to host on the show. But for sure, you're going to be here again. And so thanks a lot. We hope you had a wonderful time. And Paul, you want to take us with that, Misa, but before you do, maybe the Honorable Two got last word for us, because we can't only be the one giving him last word. You must give a last word.
No, I just want to thank all of them. And it's really nice reconnecting with you again after all these years. When I heard the voice, I know this voice. Oh, they said Linkford. I said, Linkford? Say, yeah, I know one Linkford. He said, yeah, but I mean, Linkford. I said, oh, Jesus, it's been a long time. So, no, I thank you all. You all need to continue what you're doing. I really have enjoyed the show. I really thought it would be a 1 hour conversation. It's more than almost 2.5 hours, and I still have fun enjoying it. But I thank all of you. We own this. I started off by telling you all we own this place together. All of us got to be interested in fixing it, in making it better. If not for ourselves, then for our children. If not for our children, then for their children. But we got to make this place a better place. So I thank all of you. I will be available, Linkford. I will share your number with Daniel and ask him to get in touch with you. Okay. You guys do a good job. Linkford may lay journalism business. You guys do a good job. You guys stay with it. Don't give up. Keep pushing. The country needs to expand the space for free speech, free thought, and free exchange of ideas. That's how societies grow. So I thank all of you for your contribution and keep it up. And any ideas you guys as to joining this winning team, please don't hesitate, because we will win President. We beat him. And my saying is we beat him like old drum. Welcome on board, Team Victorious Comics.
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, guys. While Mr. Brown is going out, let's just touch briefly on some of what we actually discussed. I think we all know already, and good that Orito is prepared to be along. But let's take the next 10 minutes or so. Mr. Brown actually kind of clear the air about his connections to politics after leaving school, and you all know how he explained the story about his connection to Taylor and all this. I mean, I wouldn't be the one to say that, but I can confirm that I was there. I know some of what he said is the real truth that happened because I was there. I mean, I was there. And he also talked about how and what he can bring to the table. And that's why the government is jittery. That's why the government is afraid that his influence, he's influential. He's been student leader before. And he even, this is why I asked that question about his participation in an election to be senator. You know, and everybody who run and in an election, whether you win or not, you have people. And let me tell you one thing. The reason why people like Prince Johnson still win in Liberia or in Nima County, and the reason why people like George Bowley, all the warring factions, okay, I'm naming them because they have followers. And if you touch Prince Johnson, you touch a lot of people, a lot of those fighters indirectly, because you know, Liberian, we are kind of people who look up to a certain group of people that we know. Okay, if you look at George Weah, why did George Weah win majority? Because the young people who love football. Trust me, Paul, the last time I was in Liberia was 2016. Yeah, my own team. I only follow Arsenal when Arsenal is playing. I don't know the performance of all the teams, even in Europe. Yeah. But in Liberia, my little brothers, they got a correct profile of all the football, all the teams in Europe that I don't even know. I will live right here. In fact, they will even ask me for some Norwegian players whose name I don't know. And then, so the point I'm trying to make is that the football-loving crowd, the young people that we have in Liberia, those are the people that follow George Weah. So if you touch George Weah, you touch them indirectly. So everybody has a following. Everybody have people who believe in him in Liberia. So Mr. Pratt could not be, like he said, he's so heavyweight, he could not be taken lightly. Okay, and ask yourself why I say the same question you're asking. Why I say that the government has been very restless since Mr. Brown endorsed Mr. Cummings. In fact, his endorsement speech, I listened to it live. I'm so lucky. It came on my phone. I listened to it from start to finish, and I understood some of what he said. And so he being a heavyweight from past governments, this is why the government now is so afraid. And so those are just few of what I recall. And what did you gather, Orita?
Oh, for me, I think it was a crucial the way he appears to answer the question and give. For me, I feel like he gave me a lot of clarity concerning his role, concerning like his persona, you know, within the Cummings and team 2023. And one thing I take from all the things he said is the part where he kind of made it clear that yes, I'm behind Mr. Cummings. And if that time comes, anybody come with empirical facts of my involvement in the war, I'm ready to stand in front of a jury and plead my case. So for me, that alone gave me like it gave me a lot where I can stand and say, okay, this is somebody, he's willing to fight for Liberia, but if he's wrong, I'm going to be I don't want to use the word downfall. He's willing to do what's right. So for me, I just feel like I'm going to close this book. I mean, I'm just going to put the Swedish man say, "Lega locket på," meaning that I'm just going to cover this barren up with the whole, he was in war, he was in, because I feel like, it's plain propaganda.
Paul?
Linford, I think if people follow the show after, those who didn't listen, and I like the way you ask questions that to make it simple for people who don't know Mr. Brown to see who is this guy. Now, he made it simple how he came to know Charles Taylor. And if you look at today government, the government are going after him. They in bed with Charles Taylor party. So that's a pure hypocrisy. And he clarified it here, say, I'm not in it for job. I'm in it for Mama Liberia, to have a better Liberia. If I want a job, my party is in the government. What he was saying, and I think it's a lot of good things that he said. So that clarity is quite good what he said. And I think for people who listen to him today, because that was the thing they had, they listened to other propagandists, but he clarified all that. I think that was good. So, and if we can have Daniel Chia too, that one of the most talked about person, it would be good. Yeah, he come and clear his side of the story too. So I think it was a good show.
Well, hopefully we're gonna get Danny Chia. I also know Danny Chia, so I want to. If Mr. Brown, okay, you log on 2 times. If I'm connected to him, I can rest assured that you guys that we're going to have Mr. Daniel Chia here. We don't know when, but for sure we'll have him as long as we have contact with Mr. Brown. And so let me say thank you very much for you, our folks, that you stuck with us. We took you through almost 3 hours and you stayed there. Without you, the show cannot be. Siada Thompson, all our own brother Oliver Chia, and our pastor Dada Tupa, Gemini Johnson. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. Marilla Moore, and C.B. Charleston Jr., Ambassador D. Moses, Wantu, all of you. Gaia Reed. I think Gaia Reed is one person that knows Mr. Brown also, because I read or coming from Gaia, he said he was there when Mr. Brown was waiting. Okay, and so Gaia and all of you who are here for the very first time, hope you can want Timo, you can Moses want to, you can all share the video to your friends. And next time when we come here every Tuesday and Saturday. So the next time we're going to be around will be on Saturday. And Paul is going to be here with the ANC edition of this program. This program is, this platform is called the Bottom Line, but on the Bottom Line, we got different programs, and more programs will be coming up. And so Paul.
Rita, why you keep pressing it?
I keep going out.
No, you are on. Do not go out.
Just leave it okay, like.
Yeah, it's okay like that.
Okay.
So,
I can see
Paul,
I
don't know if you got anything to tell us about Saturday's program. Do you have any?
I'll know if anything. We'll put on the flyer for Saturday. For the time being, we're trying to get somebody for Saturday, so we stay.
So it's going to be interesting. Thank you very much. And Paul, take us home with your, the music. I think there is something with the music and me.
Yeah, the thing is, sometimes the CDC people made a very good music, and it's on the UK chat room, on the musical chat. And,
wait, Paul, just before wait. Why is it the president making music? Then even the minister that come here,
the president making liar man, the deputy information minister making his own monkey song. So there's a lot of activity go. One of the things I noticed that since 1847, this is the best on serious government will have. They have plenty of time to make all kind of music. So if you get plenty of time, you do all kind of things. So I think I will take us on with the UG Fagon #1, the monkey chant, and then that will say, so guys, it was a great show. To our audience, please follow us, click the left button. Whenever we come on, you're there. So here, a good music, the #1 in the UK, UG Fagon.
I cannot get me for late here to drive for the 7,000 car. Now what's what camping for? That's stupid. That is what camping for your steps on to wash a car. We're shopping 350 US. That is what camping. That is what camping for you feel like to eat lobster and he's showing the baby chicken and driving at the 8,000 car. That is what camping. That is what camping for Janako to be controller general. Why web that this is a course? That is what camping. That is what camping for Bessie Yeke to be head of place. Why web that one of the people want to NASCAR? That is what camping. That is what camping for Emma Castro to be the head of NAFA. Wow, husband. is a consultant to Marita. That means you can be. Oh, that means you can be. So family, there's the happy. I'm going into detail. That's stupid. That means you can be. Oh, that's stupid. That's stupid. That's stupid.